That's crazy. Oh, don't walk away. That's wild. So we get back from our ride. You're gonna have to ignore my helmet hair. And this is what we come into camp for, or with, to see. Those two deer are standing on like a 45-degree angle, and it's all gravel. It's all loose gravel. It's not even insanity. So crazy. And they're just chilling. They are just chilling. Did you name it, Chris?
No. What should we name it?
I don't know. I think we should have a name for it. For him. Him? Probably him, right? Probably him.
How about Henry?
Henry. I like it. Old Henry.
Super noble.
He's a very noble guy. He's just hanging out.
Yeah. Friendly. Not afraid.
Not really afraid. He might get a little nervous every once in a while, but who doesn't? Ask Henry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a Henry.
Probably something pissing on it. A little extra flavor. Yeah.
Bye, Henry.
Bye, buddy.
We'll see you later. So we all thoroughly got our asses kicked yesterday, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the bikes did too.
Some of the bikes got their asses
One of
kicked
them
too.
really did.
Yeah.
On the bikes now.
One of them really did too. Now we got to talk about the bikes. I mean, you know, everything did pretty well, right?
Yeah, everything did great. Everybody made it home.
Mechanically, everything worked out quite well. And we, well, as you can hopefully see from the footage that I've already stuck in there, we really saw some rough stuff. We did 5 passes. We saw 13,000 feet. We saw a lot of snow. And we saw a lot of rocks about the size of your head that are really just impossible to ride across. But we got through and we did 150 miles.
Yeah, 147.
We think we did about 150 miles, and which, you know, is pretty great, but it was supposed to be closer to 60. I think that's just how it goes when you're off-roading sometimes. I think that's how it works. And we got through, and today we're loading up. We're heading out of Colorado, and we're gonna go to Utah. But what I want to show now is the bikes. So here are the bikes. Looking quite a bit dirtier than they were. And we got mud all up in some spots where you just don't usually see mud. And my tank bag that started off nice and fresh and black now looks like this. Should probably do some chain maintenance soon. The old T-dubs. Remember what it looked like when it was in the shop? Doesn't quite look like that anymore. So anyway, it was a tough ride, but today we're loading up. We're headed out to Moab and do some riding out there. The super high temperatures have me pretty nervous, but I guess we'll see what happens when we get out there. In any case, we're seeing some really cool stuff, and you know, having a pretty good time. Look at that. So, anywho, we're gonna load up. I'll see you guys in Moab.
Okay, so here I'm not totally sure what went wrong. I don't exactly understand. My mic was plugged in, everything was working just fine. The camera had actually been set up previously, and I was using it the way that I had been before, but as you can see, there is no sound. Don't know what happened. Don't even really remember what I was saying, but this is a good chance to show you guys camp. This is our view. This is what we got to look at while we were hanging out in camp. It was beautiful. It is overcast. We got crazy lucky with the weather. The high for today was like 85. It was overcast. There was a light breeze. The weather was beautiful. It is Moab. It is the desert. The week before, literally, they were seeing 115 degrees outside, so it was insane before, and we could not have gotten luckier to be where we are now. The scale of everything was crazy thrown off because that mountain behind me is super far away, but it looks huge because everything around it is really, really flat. In any case, we're getting ready to go riding. We're just it's probably about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. Everybody's just kind of milling about, getting prepared, getting ready, getting packed up for the day. And we're going to go see some sweet Moab trails. All right, so we're riding with Paul. Here we are taking off on the trail itself. This is called Chicken Corners, and it was really cool. It was super fun. A really great technical level for the level we were riding as far as our skill goes. The first part is super neat because we kind of drop down off the mountain and down into this valley here along this dry riverbed to the right here. But dropping so far down so fast meant that all these rock formations stretched up above us. You almost couldn't see sky without looking straight up. It was so cool seeing all the layers in the rocks and stuff like that. But it does start out paved and then kind of breaks down into the gravel that you see here, and eventually it'll kind of get to just sand and rock and, flat rock and stuff like that. Somewhere around here, it did start to sprinkle on us a little bit, which really was kind of welcome because while it wasn't hot, it was just nice to kind of get a little spritzing every so often. But you can see here it's turning to sand, and there's some like water where there used to be water anyway. The sand is really quite a challenge, and that will come up a little bit later in the video. But riding in the sand was really quite a challenge. But the terrain was super cool. It changed mile by mile, and it was really fun to see, what's going to happen next? What are we riding on next? And it kind of spit us out there on the desert floor. But we also got right back into riding some mountain ridges like you see here. The drop-offs, watch the drop-offs on the right. They get really, really gnarly. In any case, I'm going to crank up some music and just let you guys cruise across the desert along with us here. And I'm going to leave some of the engine noise in so you can hear what's going on. But otherwise, enjoy the journey. Alright, so here we are coming up to Haraz Pass. This is Haraz Pass. It's about the halfway mark of Chicken Corners in its entirety. This is where we kind of take the gear off, take a rest. We had some snacks. Really just kind of hung out and took a breather from some of the trail riding we have done. The whole thing was, I think it was about a 40-mile round trip, maybe, something like that. And we're about halfway now. But this view is incredible, as you hear Paul remark about it. It was really incredible to see what we were seeing. The valley behind us, we could watch rainstorms move across the valley below us. There's a gigantic river running across the desert bed at the bottom. It was really, really just amazing. The rock formations and how giant they were and how far away they were and everything. It was just unbelievable. When we pulled up, you saw a truck to the left. It was kind of funny because when we pulled up, there was a guy actually basically elbow deep in the engine bay on his knees up under the hood trying to work on it, and there's a giant puddle of fluid under it. But yeah, it was really strange to kind of be working as hard as we were to get there and also show up, and here's all these kind of weird people, just tourists who have been carried up there in various trucks and stuff, giant lifted 4x4 trucks, and they're just kind of hanging out. And we'd spent, half a day grinding on these dirt bikes to get out there. It was kind of a weird thing, But we're leaving Haraz Pass and continuing down Chicken Corners to get to the very end, and this is where the trail really starts to be something real. It really gets kind of gnarly. We're descending now, and we'll kind of continue to descend a bit, but the drop-offs get crazy, and we start riding through these, around these canyon ridges and the views. I know I keep saying it, but it's just incredible. Look at this. Unbelievable. I highly recommend you check it out. But in any case, I stop here to make sure we're getting collected up. In any case, I'm going to start back in with the music, and again, just cruise along with us and enjoy the ride. Alright, so as you can see, the terrain has gotten more and more technical. We're getting some properly technical riding. We have gathered ourselves back up. Paul's at the back of the line. Justin's right in front of him. Chris is in front of Justin, and I'm up there just on your left to the in front of Chris, and Dan, of course, is our leader, so he's at the very front. And so the trail really starts to get rough. We start to slow down. We start to find some deep sand, kind of like this, and it leads to some trouble, which you'll see here in just a second. Basically, there's a run of deep sand, followed by a steep, brutal rock ledge climb, followed by a hard right-hand turn in more extremely deep sand, and it kind of gives the group a little bit of trouble, as you're about to find out here. In just 1 second, deep sand is so hard to ride in. It digs the nose in, and kind of wants just to kind of swamp the bike out from underneath you. It just wants to wash out. It's like trying to ride a bicycle through a pile of rice. Like it's so hard to ride in, and takes a lot to keep the bike up. So here's our rock ledge. Justin doesn't quite make it up, which sort of makes Paul stall out.
God damn it.
So Paul stalls. They're both trying to get their bike started, and there is nothing harder than trying to move a bike from a ledge just like this. So kudos to them. Up here on the left, as Paul navigates some of this deep sand here, you can see I've chosen a very, very bad line trying to avoid some of these brutal rocks. And that sand must be 14 inches deep. I damn near buried it to the axle. Just trying to keep the bike moving. Yeah, and so here you can hear Paul trying to navigate this deep sand. It's so hard, and we're climbing, which makes that much harder. You can see Chris there has gone down, trying to keep it up. Again, it's so hard to both climb and ride through this deep sand like this. You can hear Paul trying to navigate his way through it. It's quite hard, but it was a real challenge. It was kind of fun. Fun to kind of get everything going here, and here you can hear Paul roosting it now that he can get to some rock. Like, this rock face is really solid, but really, I think Paul probably summed it up himself.
They're all fucked back there.
Oh yeah.
So we made it to the top of Chicken Corners. I have not been filming on locations because it has been kind of tough, but I wanted to here because it's so incredible. I think this is the last ride for the weekend. The bikes are all over there, and look at this unbelievable view. Unbelievable. Absolutely incredible. Today has been super fun. The terrain is really, really different. There's like these rock shelves and stuff. There's also this super deep sand, which is really hard to ride in. This is just incredible. We got really lucky. In Moab, it gets super hot because it's the desert, and it's 105 degrees. It was 115 degrees last week. We're lucky because today, I think the high is like 85. The humidity is low. It is a beautiful, beautiful day to ride. It has been cloudy. The clouds are starting to go away a little bit, but it's still a beautiful time. It is outstanding, and well, you've been watching the footage. It's so good. It's so good. Just riding around this. Outstanding. Okay, we're gonna ride back. This was a big trip. A hell of an adventure. Towing from Raleigh, North Carolina to Denver, Colorado. Riding almost 160 miles across 5 mountain passes as high as 13,000 feet as a day one introduction to off-roading. Going to Moab and learning just what deep sand means. It was an incredible journey, an amazing mix of riding. Everything was beautiful. We had our fair share of drops, spills, and struggles in general. We learned a lot about ourselves, our bikes, and of course, about off-roading. I've ridden with these guys a lot on the street. We've taken many, many bike trips in the past, and it was amazing to add this one to the list. A group like this is what riding is all about. Getting out, exploring with good friends, sharing new experiences. I can't recommend it enough. I'm getting married next year, and all of these guys are going to be in my wedding. All of these dirtbags. I couldn't be more proud to be a part of a group like this. A group that gets together, finds some brutal landscape, and conquers it the first time out. Find your group of dirtbags, and go have an adventure. You won't regret it, I promise.